Okay, this is Courtroom Consequences yet again. In the last one, we watched some wild stuff from some unruly prisoners. Let's watch this one. This is wildest courtroom escapes of all time. Okay, I think I watched this one in the academy. Hmm. Okay.
Who was just convicted of drug possession at the Benton County.
These guys do a really good job at pulling the court dockets and files and stuff like that and getting these people's information and figuring out everything through FOIA requests and whatnot. So kudos to Courtroom Consequences for pulling all these records. Good job.
Justice Center in Washington State. Hyde was led down the holding cell with other convicts before being taken to prison. But Hyde had other ideas.
Okay, so the deputy's not paying attention.
As an officer turned his back to him, Hyde slipped out and snuck back into the
Not
courtroom.
securing a door. Okay. So they said prison again. Could be jail, could be prison, something like that. We don't know. Could be back east where they conflate the two, like I said in my last video. Yeah, so this just seems like a failure for security protocols because looks to me like you can see just to the right of the guy that's in that box there's a door handle. So it looks like they're propping a door that could be part of the secured perimeter of this courthouse. And looks like somebody messed up.
As an officer turned his back to him,
Not paying
Hyde
attention.
slipped out and snuck back into the courtroom.
But the court cams
He
are
then
always
removed his
running.
prison shirt and used it to hide the handcuffs.
Another failure here seems to be that they are just handcuffed in the front. Whenever you see this in movies, this handcuffed in the front, it grinds my gears because I know places do it and it is absolutely terrible. Because if you're handcuffing somebody in the front, literally the only thing that you prevent is a haymaker. Because I can still grab stuff. I could still grab your phone and text on it if I wanted to. There's a million things you could still do being handcuffed in the front, and it is incredibly easy to conceal if you get your shirt off like that. So this just seems like they need to address some of their protocols and change that, because that is insane that they are just handcuffed in the front and they're about to transport them to prison or county jail.
Hyde then made it down the hallway, ditching his noticeable prison shoes in the process.
Oh man. Yeah, I definitely watched this one in the academy.
Before exiting through the lobby and making a run for it out onto the streets. But Hyde's freedom didn't last long. He was recaptured 2 hours after his escape. The 24-year-old was later convicted of second-degree attempt. Camera can't keep up.
Whoa!
Like in the case of Rayton Woodford, who's in Jefferson County Circuit Court for violating. Like in the case of Rayton Woodford, who's in Jefferson County Circuit Court for violating his probation. According to reports, the 29-year-old was previously sentenced to probation for drugs and weapon-related charges. Now, in court, Woodford's girlfriend sat just a few feet away, showing support. During the hearing, a detective took the stand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be truthful?
That evening, he was charged with a handgun and narcotics.
And if you know, was Mr. Woodford at the time a convicted felon?
Yes, he was.
The courtroom camera remained locked on the witness stand as Judge Barry Willett announced his decision.
Probation revoked in its entirety. Mr. Woodford, I'm going to send you to serve 5 years. Good luck to you. No, ma'am.
Moments later, the unthinkable happened.
See, preventable. This would have been completely preventable with proper restraint practices. But then again, I don't know if this guy was in custody. He very well could have been out of custody on bail and just appearing in the courthouse through his own volition. And in that case, he wouldn't be restrained.
There was a flash across the camera as Woodford attempted to make a break for it. His girlfriend
But this is a courtroom escapes, so
could be heard pleading him to stop.
The record will reflect that Mr. Woodford made an unsuccessful effort to escape.
Woodford's escape was unsuccessful. He was brought back into the court.
didn't last very long. Okay. Next. This one I know I've seen before a ton of times.
She tearfully leaves the courtroom.
Woodford's girlfriend
Fighting with deputies, people might get pushed out of the way.
Woodford's girlfriend faced no additional charges.
Oh,
Faye
yeah.
Owen was nosedive to catch a convict.
So this guy looks like he's in his own clothes, so he was probably out on bail or promised to appear or something like that.
Like in the case of Nicholas Garrison, who was just sentenced for drug possession in Greenfield, Ohio. The 34-year-old was being prepped to be taken to prison when suddenly...
I know the officer got hurt in this scenario, but this is one of those where you sit around a campfire and tell stories, because that is just the best camera view possible of a bad scenario that should have made it on like America's Funniest Home Videos in like 2008.
Let's back up. Two deputies were restraining Garrison to be taken to jail. However, as one of them turned away for a split second, Garrison bolted.
That just goes to show the importance of scene security, and when you are interacting with a prisoner, make sure they are secure before you turn your back on them. You know, the guy that was hands-on should have immediately engaged, but this seems to be like it was completely preventable. Just seems kind of like a training issue, and definitely something you got to train on.
He burst out of the courtroom and made
Purple
for the
hair.
stairs as a deputy took a giant leap to catch him.
Good jump,
Garrison
though.
managed to slip away and escape. He evaded police for a while before finally being captured at a motel for...
You know, his buddies never let him live that down. For sure. Never is he going to live that down.
4 days later, he was later handed a 6-year prison sentence for his efforts. As for the daring deputy, he suffered 4 broken ribs and a concussion.
That's
While
unfortunate.
Nicholas Garrison's actions resulted in a deputy's hospitalization. What happens when an escaped convict causes a serious car crash? Like in the case of Cyrus Matthews, who is facing misdemeanor charges in Wadsworth Municipal Court in Ohio. The 19-year-old was just sentenced to
Charges. Misdemeanor. So we don't know what the charges were.
60 days in jail for a road rage case.
Okay, there we go.
I'm sorry for, acting immature on the road. I understand that, being on the road, you do have other people's lives in your hand. And, I should have thought about that. Is there, any way that...
60 days seems pretty steep for a road rage incident. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
we could reverse this jail time?
Well, you're going to go to jail today. If you need to get out to attend a hearing, we can consider furloughs. Okay, but right now you're going to go to jail right now.
However,
Okay, so the judge just explained to him that they may furlough a sentence, but you're going to jail today, which is completely understandable. He may get 10 days and then they may furlough out the rest of it. I'm not familiar with calling it furlough. Anytime I hear furlough, I think like a medical release for a hospital stay, or a release because a family member's in the hospital or dying, or a funeral or something like that. Those are the only times where I've really seen furloughs, but I think I understand what the judge is trying to say.
What Matthews did next left everyone stunned.
We're just going to turn and walk out of the courthouse. Where is the bailiff? Where is the bailiff? This seems like a operating procedure or a tactics issue to me, that they don't have a bailiff in the courtroom. If you're sentencing somebody, like if this is a criminal hearing and there's not a bailiff, that's kind of insane to me.
After learning his fate, Matthews straight up just walked out of the courtroom. The judge threatened him with felony charges, but Matthews had other ideas.
Come on, man. You were going to do 60 days on a misdemeanor, and now you're facing, like, felony escape charges.
Felony escape if he doesn't get back in this court.
Not a secure courtroom, no bailiff, no security checkpoint.
The defendant had a moment of hesitation as the court bailiff tried to reason with him.
Okay, so that was the bailiff? That female sitting in that chair over there? This one right here? That was apparently the bailiff. What?
After with a moment of hesitation. However, as Matthews...
Okay, this is insane to me. This is insane. Put him in handcuffs if you're the bailiff. I mean, is she sworn? She's wearing heels.
His girlfriend followed him out. The two ran over to the parking lot, got into their car, and escaped.
Oh my goodness. In the hoopty. Okay, well, apparently there's no sense to be made out of either one of them. Soda gives me burps. I'm sorry, guys. But I need some caffeine. What? This is the bailiff. She doesn't have a weapon. She's not in uniform. She's in civilian attire. She's wearing heels. This seems like a failure on the part of the courthouse.
Police sprung into action and a high-speed chase ensued.
He was sentenced to jail and took off. I saw him turn north onto Lyman from Maple. He was in an older gray four-door vehicle.
Just say hoopty over the radio.
28, he's not. He's running red lights at Hartman. Passing on the right at Williams Reserve. My speed's 90, trying to catch up.
I'm trying to figure out where this is.
I think we're going to have a code 2. We're going to have a code 2
Akron.
at Akron 76.
When police finally caught up with the suspect, they found a horrific scene.
Oh boy.
The crash mangled two vehicles, leaving parts scattered across Akron Road near
Trooper's getting out with his Garrison hat on.
I-76 and knocking down a gas station sign. An innocent mother, father, and their baby in an SUV suffered minor injuries.
Good. Good. Minor injuries. Good.
SUV, which had a couple and a toddler inside. Thankfully, they were not seriously injured.
Yeah, thank goodness. I gotta plug in my headphones. I've been going at this all day. I didn't really think about charging anything. Okay. Well, I'm glad the family wasn't hurt.
All right, we're going to have multiple vehicles, airbag deployment. Ma'am, are you okay? Okay. She's okay. All right, we got squads coming. Ashley, help them get out. Help them get out. He's up here.
As the gravity of his actions dawned on him, Matthew...
The female's probably looking at like enabling escape or some sort of charges like that as well. She's probably going to face charges as well for this situation because she, like, I think they would call that conspiracy to escape or something like that because she helped in or facilitated. She didn't attempt to stop. I wonder.
Matthews broke down.
I'm gonna need multiple squads.
I need help, sir.
Okay.
Good radio traffic from the responding officer. I'm glad that he checked on the people that were involved first before he went over to the people he was chasing. Not because I care if one group lives or dies, but this one was a passenger vehicle, and then he already knew via the radio traffic what was in the other one. Sounds like he's calm, cool, and collected.
What was going on? Why were you taking off?
You didn't even hear it right. It was 60 days.
So what happened? Why?
You didn't try to run. You did run.
Matthews was further charged with aggravated felonious assault and sentenced to 425 days in jail. While Cyrus Matthews' courtroom escape turned out to be a painful lesson, what happens when a wheelchair-bound convict runs for his freedom?
Oh, gosh.
Like the case of Joel Delgado, who's being wheelchaired to court in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay, Little Rock, Arkansas. So it looks like the transporting officer here. I wonder if this deputy is a patrol guy, because I know in some places the patrol guys take care of taking people to and from the courthouses and whatnot. But this looks like a big failure on the courthouse. Not even the officer. We'll get to my opinion on the officer here in a second, or well, not the officer, but the transport protocols. But there's no sally port. There's no secure entrance for people to go in and out of court. I know in smaller courthouses you have to walk them in with the public, but that's kind of crazy to me that you're transporting somebody in custody like across the street by yourself. A lot of times when people do transports, you're going to have multiple deputies or officers assisting in the facilitation of that transport. And then on top of that, this guy, you could see he was just handcuffed in the front like we talked about earlier. Just because somebody is disabled does not prevent them from attempting to escape by any means. So looks like this would be one of those scenarios where one of those mobility chains would be a really good option. The side restraints with a little bit of a chain. And because he has full mobility as you see him hop over that rail.
Delgado, who was in jail facing burglary and firearms charges, had allegedly told police he wasn't feeling well and couldn't move his legs.
Fake illness or fake injury, that was most likely what happened.
Now, being wheeled into the courthouse, Delgado distracted the officer by saying he had lost his shoe.
What'd you say, OJ? My shoe. Hey, you see a shoe back there? Where is it?
However, what happened next is every law enforcement officer's nightmare. As the officer bent down to pick up his shoe, Delgado sprang up and made a run for it.
Yeah, you gotta ensure the public of the safety when you're transporting somebody, for sure. You got to make sure that person's secure at all times. Constant supervision. That's why having multiple people for a transport like this in the public is really crucial. And not taking your eye off of them. Just because a prisoner tells you that they're not feeling well does, to me, immediately I've got a red flag of, is this guy going to try something on me? And that's the what if game. Depending on how this channel goes, if it grows, I might dive into some stuff like that, teaching for younger correctional officers, some basic tactics and stuff like that that'll help people with their careers. But the what if game, man, you got to play that what if game in your brain of constantly, okay, what if he tries to hop up? What am I going to do? If I'm going up this, am I hopping the rail? Am I chasing him? Am I going down the stairs? What am I doing? And that's what keeps you safe and what keeps you going home and makes you good at your job at the same time.
Officer ran after Delgado, but he was nowhere to be found.
Oh, I'm gonna catch you, baby. I'm finna shoot your bitch ass. Oh, I'm gonna catch you, baby. I'm finna shoot your bitch ass.
Oh, he ditched the neck guard. Okay.
Hey, can you call the police for me?
Call. Who is this transporting? Do you not have a radio? What?
Call the police for me. Hey, call the police. Call the police. What way it go?
Already without a radio, the officer had a hard time calling for backup.
911.
Look, the wheelchair dude got up and ran. Yeah, I couldn't catch his ass, and my radio was in the mother.
This is another one of those. This guy is never going to live this down.
I had my camera on though. He jumped the rail. It's on my camera, bro. Oh, what's that, man?
Oh, you know he kept that body cam video. You know he's got that video somewhere in his archives.
And while authorities saw the lighter side of things, Delgado was gone for a good few hours. He was later caught from the other side of town, charged with felony escape, and was once again put in a wheelchair.
The 41-year-old is being wheeled into an ambulance, claiming to be injured and unable to walk.
While Joel Delgado successfully managed to deceive an officer, what happens when a judge has to chase after the suspect?
Uh-oh. Ditches his robe. Oh man, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but there's a Bible verse that goes something like, "He who hath no sword, let him sell his whatever and go buy one." And it's like this judge is like, I've been waiting for this opportunity for my entire career. I get to do something today.
Successfully managed to deceive an officer. What happens when a judge has to chase after the suspect?
Okay, so there's two? Is that
to chase after the suspect? Like in the case of Tanner Jacobson and Cody Howard, who were in the Lewis County Courthouse for driving on suspended licenses. As Judge R.W. Buzzard was about to address them, something unexpected happened.
Okay, so immediately I don't see a bailiff. I don't see a sworn officer or deputy in this courtroom. So to me, this looks like same thing that a lot of these court cams have exemplified to me is when you don't have a deputy in the courtroom, things happen in the courtroom. I mean, obviously somebody brought them in there because they're in jail turnouts. You can tell these guys don't have shackles. They are belly chained. You can see the guy in the front running with his hands like this, and that guy in the back in the stripes as well. But that spread on his legs would not happen with shackles.
Was about to address them, something unexpected happened.
Nope.
Handcuffed and dressed in prison uniform, the two defendants made a run for it. Without a second thought, Judge Buzzard sprang into action.
I love it. The judge took off his coat. The only thing that would make this better is if he's running with the gavel.
Outside the courtroom, the prosecution got the better of Howard. The judge followed the two suspects down the flight of stairs and caught up with Howard just as he was about to escape.
Boy, you come back here, I'm gonna get you. Oh, you know he's yelling mad smack. You know he's yelling something. That little jump. It looks like those belly chains were applied properly. Going out the fire escape.
Jacobson fled on foot for a few blocks before coming back to his senses and surrendering.
I only get like 4 blocks and then I stop. Like I just stopped on my own. I'm like, what am I doing right now?
The reason behind their actions? Your guess is as good as theirs.
It was just a split second like decision. I don't even know why I did it. Like I would be out of here if I wouldn't have ran.
I didn't try to escape to get out. I tried to escape to get well, and I tried to do what I could, do what I could do to get my drug addiction.
Initially facing only a 30-day jail sentence, the two
What?
ultimately ended up with significantly larger prison terms. While Tanner Jacobson and Cody Howard's moment of insanity earned them more jail time. What happens when a deputy with an iron grip prevents an escape?
There we go. Okay, so in my last video, if you guys watched it, I'll link it up in the cards up here. If you watched my last video, I criticized a female bailiff, officer, deputy for only attempting to grab clothing. And I caveated that and said I would be remiss if I didn't say that I personally haven't grabbed onto clothing to attempt to bring somebody in towards me to be able to get more positive control. Or when you're so close, sometimes if you already have a hand on their shoulder, you just scrunch that hand up and now you've got a good hold on them. If they're, flailing around, extremely intoxicated or something like that. I'm really excited to see this one because this shows what I was saying in the last video.
Them more jail time. What happens when a deputy with an iron grip prevents an escape?
Good job, old school.
Case of Derek Wright, who was facing speeding charges in a Louisville, Kentucky courtroom. The mood in the court was pretty
Old school don't mess around out there in Louisville.
chill that day.
Yeah. Take a fry down and then kind of crumble it. And then you put it in.
Bacon makes everything better. Let's be real.
But as the judge was looking at his paperwork, Wright...
Female judge. She. It's all right. You've got 1.4 million subs. I'll let you slide with this one. Let's go ahead and drop them a subscribe.
attempted to walk away.
Whoa, where are you going?
No, not the rest. No, have a seat.
So I can't go to the restaurant? What can I make a copy of my mom? In a minute.
It was discovered that in addition to his speeding charge, Wright had an outstanding warrant for domestic violence.
Ooh. Okay, so I assume this guy's not in custody because he's in personal clothing. It's good. It looks like there's 1 or 2 bailiffs in this courtroom, which is good. And I don't know how when he went to jail they didn't check him for warrants. Maybe it was a recently issued warrant, but typically they're not running people for warrants in the courtroom.
But Wright believed there was some kind of mistake.
The case got dismissed. We're verifying it. I went to court for that Tuesday. It got dismissed.
Sir, I need you to calm down.
Unless the judge was just checking his criminal history and saw that.
Yeah, but
If it's dismissed, you're good. If not, I'm going to take you into custody.
There you go.
I need to call my mama if I'm going to get arrested because this is something new to me because this is the only thing that I was supposed to go to court for.
Eventually, it turned out the warrant was indeed active.
It's unserved, so it's still good. Okay. Sir, you need to calm down, okay?
Seems like a really young judge.
They're gonna go ahead, they're gonna execute this. They'll let you take some time to call your...
Maybe not the best word. Execute. From the judge's stand, just saying.
But Wright had other ideas.
Okay, that's a great position of escort. Personally, I would have had a hand on a shoulder or underneath the arm, but seeing how this went, I'm not going to be too critical of it. But yeah, this is a completely viable technique. I don't go around grabbing people's clothing, but this officer or this deputy here did, and seems to have been effective. There you go.
As he was taken to jail, Wright attempted to flee, but A deputy with a strong grip managed to bring him down. 2 more deputies ultimately subdued the situation.
Nope. Okay, so let me break this down a little bit more accurately. Deputy 1 maintained grip, or maybe he was just like, okay, we're going to go this way, and clenched his grasp and got the guy. And that, as he was taking that first lunge to try and start running, probably lost balance. It wasn't really a takedown. Guy took himself to the ground, and the deputy just kind of fell on top of him. Other deputy hops the pew and goes in and brings him into custody. Oh, I'm in the way.
Hold your arms out. 104, you cancel that. We got it.
But it was not under control.
There we go. Another one comes in, jumps on legs. Good job.
Struggling until a deputy pulled out his taser.
Okay, so that taser didn't run for very long, so I'm wondering if it was a drive stun. Can't really see what's going on. So a drive stun is like a stun gun where they just press the taser, the end of the taser, straight into the skin. So what that third responding deputy did, when he ran in, he immediately jumped on leg control. He heard the other deputy, great communication, saying, stop fighting. And what I would assume happened, because I think the guy was wearing pants, is he pulled the pant leg up and deployed the taser to the ankle as a drive stun.
We done? Are we done?
I don't know if this video's cut, but the reason I'm assuming it was a drive stun was because the guy was still talking. Most of the time when somebody gets locked up from taser prongs, actually entering the body, which I don't know if that would have been effective in the scenario, because he looked like he was wearing baggy clothing and a coat. I forgot what I was going to say. So I would assume it was a drive stun, because most of the time, the arc of a taser is 5 seconds from the time you pull the trigger. It runs a 5-second cycle. So he said, I'll stop. Normally you wouldn't be able to say that if you were getting the full ride from a 5-second taser deployment. Leg control. Hike up a pant leg.
Until a deputy pulled out his taser.
We done? Are we done? All right, we won't get you up. You're going to walk back there real nice, okay?
Wright was removed from court.
Oh, he's wearing
He
shorts.
was not a happy man.
Looks like... Oh, no, I thought that was going to be medical. It's a lawyer.
Wright's antics slapped him with additional charges of third-degree assault, resisting arrest, criminal mischief, and disorderly conduct.
I don't know about assault, but...
Derek Wright received 50,000 volts of electricity for his actions. What happens when a crazy attempt to escape goes wrong? Like in the case of Mario and Jose Guzman, who were at a pretrial hearing in Jefferson Circuit Court in Louisville, Kentucky. The brothers were facing serious charges of drug possession and trafficking. Now in court, the prosecution attempted to increase Mario's bond from $500 to $15,000 after he faced new charges of burglary.
In your order, it specifically says no further violations
That lawyer sounds like he's 10.
of the law. He picked up new charges. He violated the law.
But the defense argued the new recommended bond was too high, as the burglary charges were invalid.
They don't have the victim because he left town because he's a drug dealer. I mean, we might as well say 100,000 full cash, Judge. It's an amount that Mr. Guzman can't post. That's not the purpose of bond. The purpose of bond is to make sure that someone comes to court.
However, the judge agreed with the prosecutor and raised Mario's bond to $5,000.
That is not a high bail. Like, that $5,000 is not a high bond. I mean, it may be high if you don't have money, but $5,000. Bondable, that's $500, because normally the bail bonds companies will have you pay 10%. It depends on the bail bond company. They could say 20% because he may be more of a flight risk, but usually it's like 10%. That's $500. I'm sorry, that is not a high bail.
I agree. New charges obviously have been picked up. Current bond is not appropriate. It will be $5,000 full cash.
Okay, a $5,000 cash bond. That means you're not able to use a bond company. You've got to pay that in cash.
Mario then stood up to be taken into custody, but he had no intention of going to prison.
His accomplice or partner in crime or whatever is just chilling there like, no, not me. Okay, heck yeah. The courtroom got involved and said, not in my state.
The 6-foot, 190-pound defendant rode the gallery benches and headed towards the door before deputies wrestled him to the ground.
Good job.
As one of them pulled out a taser, the courtroom erupted.
He's okay. He's okay.
Jose Guzman tried to calm his brother down.
That responding officer probably should have got the other defendant out of the courtroom, escorted him back to holding. That's what I probably would have done if I was responding to this scenario. Is you've got another person in custody, let's get him out of the scenario so he doesn't attempt to flee while everybody's bound up with one guy.
Mario's wife became so distraught that she had to be handcuffed.
Oh, she got involved.
Finally, deputies managed to remove Mario from the courtroom.
It's like 144p video.
He faced additional charges of attempted assault and criminal mischief, and his bond was increased to $7,500. While Mario Guzman got his wife arrested for his attempted escape, what happens when officers come face to
Oh, I've seen this one
with a
before.
Satanist? Like in the case of Leonid Greiser,
That is a bold title to put on somebody.
who's on trial for murder in Russia.
Maybe not.
As per reports, the 18-year-old teenager killed his sister at their apartment in Moscow. Like in the case of Leonid Greiser, who's on trial for murder in Russia. As per reports, the 18-year-old
Okay, this is in a different country. This is interesting.
teenager killed his sister at their apartment in Moscow, claiming that Satan had ordered him to do it. Greiser was found with his sister's body covered with demonic symbols, painted with blood. During questioning, Greiser was seen smiling and free of remorse.
That is the middle finger for those in the audience who are wondering.
Greiser claimed he had to kill his sister to get rid of his self-doubts.
От каких сомнений?
Where escaping, but in court, Greiser was put behind a glass cage to prevent him from escaping, but the defendant had other ideas.
If your head can fit through the hole, your body can fit through the hole, right? Okay, so your head didn't fit, so now we're going to try the body. See how they handle things in Moscow.
When his first attempt to escape was thwarted, Greiser took the high road.
I'm starting to get tired, man.
He somehow managed to squeeze through the roof of the cage and tried to escape through the false ceiling of the courtroom.
They haven't invented tasers yet in Moscow.
stunned officers desperately tried to get to the escaping prisoner.
There you go. Think outside the bun, Taco Bell style. I mean, that's a viable option in this scenario, is just hold on to him. He's not going to be able to pull you and himself up through that roof.
One of them managed to pull his pants down, but struggled to hold Greiser.
Yeah, keep his leg pinned inside that cage.
Finally, more officers arrived and threatened to tase the suspect.
Oh, we do have tasers. Is that a stun gun? It is. It's a stun gun. It is a stun gun. It's not even a deployable taser. Okay, so what that cosmonaut there is doing is he is deploying the taser as a show of force, because when people hear it, a lot of times they're like, okay, I don't want the smoke, I'm done. So he's arcing it, not that he can deploy it, because all it is like a stun gun. That all that is a stun gun. He's using that as a show of force to deploy taser noises to give him motivation to comply. You gotta hit the button when you...
Eventually, Greiser gave up, crawled back into his glass cell, and was asked to pull his pants back up.
Okay, he didn't want the smoke.
To prevent any further shenanigans. When the dust settled, Greiser was handcuffed to prevent any further shenanigans.
In the front. You know how I feel about handcuffing in the front.
Ultimately, a judge sentenced Greiser to compulsory psychiatric medical treatment every 6 months. While Leonid Greiser's antics may bring some changes to the cage's design, what happens when a drug-fueled convict attempts to escape?
Okay, so we've got officers in the courtroom. Guy looks like he's out on bond, and he's high. This happens more than you would care to believe. People showing up to court drunk or high or something like that, under the influence. Wild.
Like in the case of 35-year-old Daniel Nicholson, who's facing weapons charges in Adelaide, Australia. Already out on bail, Nicholson was today in
Another one out of the country.
court to learn whether his pretrial release was to continue. To his shock, the judge decided to revoke bail.
I revoke bail. Yes, the bail henceforth shall be revoked. I can't do accents. You're going to have to follow habitual line crosser if you want that sort of entertainment.
No, you can stop.
No!
Nicholson protested in disbelief, but the judge refused to listen.
What's going on, Pat?
Take a seat. Take a seat.
Miss, please, miss.
Please, miss. I'll tell you what please, miss is.
This is when things got crazy.
Uh-oh. Leave him. Yeah, like Donut Operator says in his videos, it wouldn't be police footage if there wasn't a screaming female somewhere in the video.
Realizing he was about to go to prison, Nicholson launched himself over the glass dock,
Uh-oh.
overpowered 2 officers, and
Okay, I'll give them some, the bailiffs, the 2 in the white, I'll give them some grace here. I don't really think it's a matter of being overpowered as much as you don't really want to, it's not really a tactical position to climb up on a small little railing there to meet your adversary in this scenario. And he's up there and he just fell because of the position he was in. It's not really a matter of overpowering. He got above you and you don't want to get to that position, because I'm not going to stand on a swivel chair and have a slugfest match with a person.
landed on the bar table before being tackled to the
Yep,
floor.
there you go. Good takedown. Good takedown.
Overpowered two
Okay, so he fell. Guy gets positive control. This is almost a seatbelt takedown if the officer's right arm came underneath the extended out arm, and he matched here because he went over the shoulder and over the shoulder here and hurled him down to the ground, whereas he could have stayed high with this left arm and came in underneath, meeting, and then when you take him down, you've still got positive control because you're still locked up with like a wrestling grip. But good job.
Before being tackled to the floor. Amidst all that chaos,
He maintained that arm. That's good.
a woman made a plea on Nicholson's behalf.
Okay, whoa. Okay, so this is a thing that I like to think about with training is once you get him to the ground, now that you're on the ground, you want to stay on the ground and get him restrained on the ground. Know what your next step is while you're doing, like think about chessboard, right? Think about your next step while you're doing your current step, because if you get him on the ground but don't know what to do now, then he can get up and escape from you, just like high school wrestling, So he takes him down. Good. He doesn't get an advantageous position and he gets bucked off. Luckily, that other court security, bailiff, whatever, was there to wrap him up again. And then they both kind of fell. And now it's just a dog pile. Good commands, though, on your stomach.
Officers were able to get things under control.
Got him restrained.
Don't do anything silly.
Assisting him back to his feet. Good. Get him off the ground now that he's restrained.
The incident saw one officer suffering a broken foot, while another sustained a jaw.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about, because I bet there would have been more officers injured if they had got up there, like the narration from Courtroom Consequences here is they didn't really overpower, or he didn't overpower the officers. He just climbed up and fell. And if the officers climbed up and fell, then there probably would have been more injuries.
Jaw injury. Nicholson faced additional charge for a broken foot, while another sustained a jaw injury. Nicholson faced additional charges of attempting to escape from custody and recklessly causing harm to a prescribed emergency worker.
It's interesting wording for a charge. A prescribed emergency worker. Sworn officer.
He later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 21 months in prison. While Daniel Nicholson's actions could be blamed on drug use, what happens when a convict takes advantage of the law? Like in the case of 28-year-old Eddie Villalobos, who's facing a murder trial in Hillsboro, Oregon. In 2021, Villalobos was charged.
He's facing a murder trial, but he's not restrained? What? That was very high-pitched.
With second-degree murder after he allegedly stabbed a man to death. Now in court, about to stand trial, two deputies escorted Villalobos into the courtroom.
And nobody thought to stand by the door? Side restraints and shackles, looks like.
His shackles were then removed because, under Oregon law, a defendant should not be restrained in front of the jury to avoid prejudice.
There are a lot of things to get around that. Not trying to circumnavigate the law, but I do understand that from a civilian standpoint of avoiding prejudice against your, facing your accusers or your accuser and avoiding prejudice. I actually do kind of like that stipulation. But what I will say is there are restraint devices that can be worn underneath clothing that limit movement and prevent people from being able to run. I forget what they call them, but effectively it's like stilts that if you try to extend your legs, you can't extend your legs or bend them anymore. So it can be worn under clothing, and loose fitting clothing, you'd never know. So But I do like that stipulation. Not really from an officer safety perspective, more from a civilian perspective.
However, Villalobos was not the one to play by the rules.
Okay, that officer reacted very quickly. Other one not so much, but good on them.
Just seconds after his hand and leg restraints were removed, Villalobos hopped over a chair and bolted towards the door. He raced through the hallway as deputies desperately pursued him.
Dude's booking it.
Villalobos made it down the stairs and exited through the lobby, closing the door behind him. Before finally escaping the building. A 2-hour manhunt ensued before authorities got a call that a person was trying to break into an apartment next door. When police arrived, they found Villalobos hiding under a blanket inside a closet. He was arrested and charged with first-degree burglary and...
If you guys don't watch Unsubscribed podcast, I highly recommend it. If you like this kind of content, I feel like you would like that kind of content. But there's a reappearing character on there, or not character, individual. I guess he is a character. Angry Cops he talks about in a bunch of his appearances on the podcast. He's an SVU detective, and whenever he serves search warrants, he pounces on piles of clothing. So that's just what I envisioned, thinking of this guy hiding under a blanket in a closet.
Second-degree escape.
This is the moment Villalobos was taken into custody after a 2-hour search. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says
they got the whole SWAT team out.
Hallway and he was arrested without incident.
A few months later, Villalobos was convicted of the murder charge and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. While Eddie Villalobos was recaptured quickly by an efficient police force, what happens when lawyers have to bring a convict down?
I said, hey, stop, man, don't do this. But he didn't even give me a chance.
Hi, man, stop. Don't do this. You know what I just thought of? Oh man, what is the quote?
So just chill out. You know, drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie, quit murdering people. Chance.
Bring a convict down.
I said, hey, stop, man, don't do this. But he didn't even give me a chance, really. And
like in the case of Israel Pointer, who was at the Oklahoma County Courthouse for a bond hearing. Facing robbery and firearms charges, the 19-year-old just learned his bond was revoked. Realizing he was about to go to jail, Pointer made a break for it. Bursting through the courtroom door, Pointer escaped the clutches of one deputy while narrowly missing another.
Positive control. Got to maintain positive control.
Clutches of one deputy while narrowly missing another.
So it looks like those two were securing their firearms in a sally port. Wonder if they're not allowed to carry inside the courthouse. That would be odd.
Pointer then ran into 2 more deputies who managed to catch him, but he proved to be too slippery for them. Once again, Pointer managed to break free. About to taste freedom, Pointer then encountered a group of attorneys.
Heck yeah.
Instead of getting out of the way, Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater...
The district attorney? The district attorney takes him down.
Grabbed Pointer and refused to let go.
Hey, I recognize you from the court dockets. I thought you was getting sentenced today. What are you doing running out of my courthouse? Heck yeah. Okay, so that female got back in the fight. I wonder if the other guy bummed up a leg or something like that, because it looked like he fell on the ground, maybe knocked the wind out of him, but that female kept going. Good on her.
Other attorneys stepped in and overpowered the defendant. D.A. Prater was no stranger to catching fleeing defendants. Turns out this was his fourth time.
Okay, if this is your fourth time catching a fleeing defendant, something needs to change. You guys need to change some of your operating protocols and procedures, because the district attorney having caught 4, whoever runs the courthouse security, whether it's like a division of the sheriff's office, if it's the patrol guys doing overtime, they need to change something now.
And this courthouse is a lot like being in the Wild West again. You just never know what's going to happen. Just stepped in.
Pointer was finally taken into custody and additionally charged with resisting arrest. While a vigilant lawyer stood between a defendant and his freedom, what happens when a convict,
Not just a lawyer, the district attorney,
shows Olympic-level athleticism to escape? Like in the case of Gregory Wright, who's facing trial for armed robbery in Detroit, Michigan. Back in 1995, 22-year-old Wright reportedly robbed a man at gunpoint and stole his vehicle. Officer insists. While being taken to court, Wright showed zero remorse for his actions.
All I got to say is I have no remorse for shooting that police officer. He got what he deserved. If I had the opportunity to kill him, I'd kill him.
At his pretrial hearing, the judge set Wright's bond.
his lawyer's pissed that he just made that comment.
Did a stack.
Because now, how do you get a clean jury? How do you... Oh, man, that... I hope he was found guilty.
$50,000. Knowing for certain he was going to jail, Wright made a break for it.
Unrestrained. In prison or jail turnouts, but unrestrained. Okay, good.
As he was being shown the door which led to his imprisonment, Wright decided to take the opposite route. After escaping the clutches of an officer, Wright made an impressive leap to clear the barricade. But unfortunately, he fell straight into the arms of officers. It finally took 7 officers to subdue the defendant.
I don't know about 7. I bet that those 2 guys that were there catching his great escape, I bet those 2 guys would have been able to manage taking him down because they full wrapped up around him because he's so small. The one thing I will say is sometimes adding more deputies or more individuals into a fight, adding more, sometimes is not helpful, because when you dogpile somebody, yeah, they're controlled now, but the issue is now you've got too many people laying on top of them. You can't handcuff them. You can't get an arm behind them because there's 700 pounds of weight on top of you. So you kind of have to gauge it when you're a responding officer to know when to engage and when not to engage, because scene security is still important. Making sure that they're not driving this dog pile into civilians or, you know, court passerbyers or attorneys or whoever, that is also important. So keeping people out of the way, calling for more backup, calling for medical, having somebody that's back is beneficial in these type of situations. Because now they're just struggling standing up because they can't get him to the ground because there's so many people holding on to him.
Wright's bond was eventually removed and he was ordered to remain in prison. As for his trial,
Jail.
Wright was ultimately convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. While Gregory Wright displayed great athleticism in court, what happens when an escape attempt is straight out of the movies? For that, we go to the Franklin County Courthouse in Columbus, Ohio, where a group of female defendants were on their way to jail after getting arraigned. Among them was 39-year-old Mobley, who was indicted for aggravated theft, and 40-year-old Morrissey, who was charged with drunk driving. However, the two bold women had no plans to go to prison. Shackled to each other at
Jail.
the wrist, Mobley and Morrissey first stepped back at the back of the line.
Oh, that's an interesting technique I haven't seen before. Group marching them.
Then, in a desperate attempt to escape, the two women slipped under the prison bus.
Says sheriff. It's a jail, not a prison.
Shockingly, the court officers, not noticing that they were 2 inmates short, kept loading the bus with more prisoners. Oblivious that 2 prisoners were under the bus instead of inside of it, the bus pulled out onto the streets.
Okay, having experience in working in this type of employment or position, you have to account for what you've got. And you have to count beforehand. Okay, you have to know, okay, I have 50 seats on this bus. I am going to count 50 people that I am seating on this bus if I'm filling it to maximum capacity. The best way to run buses, because normally jails will operate with buses, vans, trucks with cages on the back, or whatever the transport situation is, sprinter vans, stuff like that, is know how many people you're putting on and then count once you get them on, or count them as they're going up the stairs. These people, they would be incredibly easy to count. So this to me seems like a failure on the deputy's perspective here, that there was only one of him. You know, if you're loading 50 people on a bus and it's just you, it's 1 versus 50, you've got a lot of things to keep track of and make sure that nobody's doing anything wrong. So that's why having multiple people when you're loading a bus is very important, so that you can account for stuff like this. That it's a crazy attempt, but also they're bound together. So somebody's standing at the door, making sure, if somebody's shackled, you want to be at the door assisting people up the stairs so they don't fall, right? And it'd be really easy in your head to go 2, 4, 6, 8. They're handcuffed together, right? They're tethered. So that's my caveat, is maybe it was just him, and that's a failure on the sheriff's office perspective. Or if there was another person there that I can't see in these video angles, that's a failure on his part.
A few minutes later, it stopped at a red light when, somehow managing to unshackle herself, Morrissey was seen running away.
I talked about this before. Females can get out of handcuffs very, very easily. So that doesn't surprise me. If you're not highly experienced in handcuffing, odds are when you handcuff a female, she'll be able to get out of it if she wants to, because just their wrist bones are so much smaller, and their fingers and whatnot. So, you know, this part of their hand is so much smaller.
Away from the scene.
2003.
However, a local private detective who just happened to pass by noticed Morrissey and chased after her.
You know that's bad when you're so much of a regular that a private detective recognizes you.
She was eventually captured and handed over to police.
Within seconds of her escape, Meyer walks the defeated captive back to the courthouse. But nobody at the sheriff's office seems to notice they're missing prisoners.
As for Mobley, she was found hiding in the bushes at the side of the freeway. The escape attempt had left her with a broken back, and she was sent to the hospital after the...
Yeah, I'm sure she fell out of the bus going like 30 over a bump. That doesn't surprise me.
Dust settled, both women were charged with felony escape.
Good.
While Tracy Mobley and Mary Morrissey risked their lives for freedom, what happens when a defendant casually walks out of court? Like in the case of Joey Watts, who's on trial at the Grant County Courthouse in Arkansas for threatening to kill a woman. Facing charges of aggravated assault and felony possession of a firearm, Watts is seen sitting beside his attorney while the jury went inside to deliberate his case. The prosecutor was chatting with some women while the court clerk seemed busy on her phone. However, with no court officers in sight, Watts got up and casually strolled out of the courtroom.
This Courtroom Consequences is highlighting all of these other people, but at the end of the day, it's none of the other people's responsibility to ensure that a prisoner or an individual is retained in the courtroom. It is the sheriff's office or whoever is assigned for that courthouses, which is usually the sheriff's office. That's why I say that. It's their responsibility to ensure safety and security. So the fact that they left the courtroom, that's a failure on their part. I feel like I've said it a million times tonight in this hour-long video. Oh man, this is going to be a long one.
Once out the door, he coolly went down the stairs.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Get ready for the big screen event.
Skipper! Don't you think we should tell them that the boat's out of gas?
Nah, just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Watts then said something to his family member sitting in the hallway before quickening up his pace and exiting through the main door. As soon as he stepped out, Watts took off. Taking no chances.
No security checkpoints at all.
He's seen walking down the street and he's gone. All the while, the jury was still in court.
Watts was busy escaping. In 1997, Stevens abducted a 3-year-old toddler from his parents' home.
Oh, sorry. I started another video.
As soon as he stepped out, Watts took off. Taking no chances, Watts began to run for his freedom.
He's seen walking down the street and he's gone. All the while, the jury was still in court.
While Watts
Still
was busy
deliberating.
escaping, back inside the court, the jury found him guilty of all charges. Watts' freedom was short-lived as he was arrested the next day. Chief Deputy Pete Roberts said Watts was out on bond, which allowed him to walk around the courtroom freely.
That he was not in custody, he wasn't, an inmate or anything, and that allowed him the freedom to move around throughout the courthouse.
He also said a court officer was not present that day due to a staff shortage.
The circuit court's in the process of hiring a new bailiff to prevent that, but they haven't got that done yet.
Eventually, it turned out
Old Chiefs there is trying to avoid responsibility is what I'm seeing.
that 2 other
I mean, it... yeah. That's a sticky situation. Mainly, the only thing that I can think is a big deal is there's no security checkpoint at the courthouse, and he was able to freely walk out of the courthouse without passing by any sort of security checkpoint.
people had helped Watts escape, including his brother, who was sitting behind him in the courtroom. As soon as Watts exited the court, his brother signaled the other guy, and the two got up and left. Ultimately, Watts was sentenced to 36 years in prison, 10 years for the attack, and 26 years for gun possession. While
he got hammered.
Joey Watts' escape seemed pretty chill and casual. What happens when an entire family is involved in a breakout? Like in the case of Dwayne Cheney, who's on a murder trial in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. According to reports, 25-year-old Cheney was accused of shooting and killing Michael Prescott in 2015 after the two got into an altercation over a girl. At his trial, Cheney was allowed to walk freely inside the building as he had a GPS tracker attached to his ankle.
So probably out on bail or ordered released to some sort of program, ankle monitor program.
Break, CCTV cameras showed Cheney with his girlfriend Zuri London. After a conversation, the two seemed to go their separate ways. Next, Cheney was seen having a deep discussion with his father, Frank Kiles. The two then exited the hallway. Minutes later, London reappeared. She seemed to be talking to someone on her cell phone, and suddenly...
We doing this? I guess we're doing this.
London ran because Cheney had already left the building with his father in an attempt to escape. As the father-son duo casually strolled the streets, London joined them. Then a white van pulled up and all three got inside.
Oh, man. This is kind of wild to me that a murder suspect is out on ankle monitor.
The driver of the vehicle was later identified to be Cheney's mother, Florigenia. Once inside, Cheney removed his GPS tracker, threw it out of the car, and sped away to his freedom. Or so he thought. Back in court, Cheney's trial continued without him, and eventually he was convicted of murder. 4 days later, U.S. Marshals caught Cheney hiding in a trash can not far from the courthouse. He was slapped with an additional charge of bail jumping. Ultimately, Cheney was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Okay, so you see, I don't remember if I talked about this in one of my first videos, but you see him there in what appears to be what we call a bunny suit, but it is what you would see painters wearing or anybody who's in a dust environment. It's called a Tyvek suit. It's just a plastic onesie that whenever there is a high-level felony crime committed, normally what they'll do is they will obtain a warrant to collect his clothing and, DNA samples, other specimen samples, and, pat down their hands for gunshot residue, stuff like that, removing their clothing to look for blood splatter, all of those things. And so they take that from them and they're put into one of these bunny suits. Because they're taking him to jail, they need to put him in something, but that's pretty common practice.
Role for killing Michael Prescott. As for his escape crew, they were all charged with felony bail jumping as parties to the crime and obstructing an officer. While Dwayne Cheney had an event.
That's interesting, an interesting series of charges. Conspiracy to escape is what I would think, not bail jumping. Because cutting an ankle monitor off, as far as I understand the law where I live, would be considered escape, not bail jumping. Or it could be both at the same time, but I'm also not in the profession of knowing all of the laws.
Eventful escape attempt. What happens when a loyal friend helps a convict? This is 21-year-old Callum Finter, who was at the Bradford Youth Court in the UK to support his friend, who is currently facing sentencing. His 17-year-old friend was just handed a 21-week jail term for stealing a cell phone. But Finter had other ideas.
That's pretty steep.
As Finter stood outside the courtroom, notice how he pressed a button that flung open an automatic door and allowed his friend to escape. Not only did he facilitate the escape, but Finter also cheered his friend on as he ran.
Use a dummy.
Before anyone realized what was happening, the teenager exited the hallway and took off through the security checkpoint.
This just goes to show, where did I go? This just goes to show the importance of your job and to not fall victim to complacency, because it's a security checkpoint for a reason. What if all the TSA guys just walked away from the checkpoint? People would be running through that. And this isn't me saying anything bad about TSA or that. People all have things they shouldn't trying to go through TSA, but you got to take your job seriously. If you are the one manning the door, this is your responsibility, is to stop people from entering or exiting that shan't be entering or exiting. So, and I don't like what the narrator kind of said here. He said before anybody knew what was going on. Well, he's getting chased. So the fact that the officer, I don't know how London operates, but I would assume in whatever year this is, that color video cameras existed, radios existed. So the fact that they don't have radios that would communicate with their security checkpoint, hey, I got one running, lock down the security checkpoint, lock the doors, something like that, seems like a group failure and a training point.
As 4 officers ran after his friend, Finter followed close behind. The phone bandit sprinted out of the courtroom, and eventually the officers lost him and gave up the chase. Finter showed up from behind and casually walked past the officers, who were unaware of what he had just done. However, the escape was short-lived, as officers caught the teenage thief 2 days later. He was given 6 months extra jail time for the escape. As for Finter, he pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting his friend's escape and was sentenced to 3 months in prison. While Callum Finter went to jail to help his friend escape, what happens when a convict jumps off from the 2nd floor? For that, we go to Meigs County Courthouse in Decatur, Tennessee.
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
33-year-old Rashad Hawkins was just sentenced for failing to pay child support. But the convict was not ready to go to jail.
Ooh.
Before he could be taken
Adrenaline, man. That's pure adrenaline right there.
into custody, Hawkins dipped out of the 2nd floor courtroom and jumped over the balcony.
He did not realize that was a 2nd floor balcony when he went to jump that rail. It's probably right now that he's looking down and is like, oh, crap. You can see how he kind of lowered himself.
10-foot drop into the reception below before getting up as if nothing happened and running towards the exit.
That's wild.
Moments later, court employees and officers littered the hallway, trying to figure out what just happened.
I don't know what happened, y'all. I was sitting here at my desk and a man just fell down from that there balcony and said hi and ran out. I don't know what's going on.
It was that Hawkins went on the run, which would last almost 3 weeks. He was finally caught in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, after neighbors reported an unknown man trespassing their property. Hawkins once again ran and fought with police to avoid capture, but was eventually arrested and charged with criminal trespassing, resisting arrest, and third-degree assault of an officer. He's currently being held without bond.
There you
While
go.
Rashad Hawkins took the leap of faith to escape, what happens when a defendant takes an officer with him?
Just before 2 o'clock, Roan ran from a 2nd floor courtroom, charged the waiting deputy at the exit, knocked him down, and got away.
Like in the case of Corey Roan, who was facing charges of possession of a firearm and resisting arrest in Muskogee, Oklahoma. The 39-year-old
An Okie from Muskogee?
had a history of criminal activity and was just ordered by a judge to be taken into custody. But Roan had other ideas.
Okay, so no courtroom officer or deputy.
With no security in sight, Roan decided to take matters into his own hands and walked out of the courtroom. He picked up the pace as 3 court employees went right after him. Roan took the stairs to the 1st floor. Still, there was no security in sight. As he made it towards the exit, one deputy attempted to stop Big Roan, but he was no match.
Dude, you know that guy right there is working at the courthouse. It's his last specialty before retirement. He's like 3 years out from retirement and just trying to bide his time, retired on duty. you know, had a great career, just wants to end chill working at the courthouse. And this guy is ruining all of that for him. Bolts through the metal detector.
The brave deputy grabbed onto Roan's shirt, but the 6'3", 200-and-something-pound defendant
Yeah.
took the old man with him as he broke through a metal detector, got into his car, and escaped. A manhunt was launched, but a few days later, Roan turned himself over to the police. Roan was additionally hit with charges of escape and assault and battery. His case is still ongoing. As for the deputy, he suffered head injuries which required hospitalization. Thankfully, he made a full recovery.
Good.
Now, Sheriff Simmons tells me that the deputy you saw in the video, though, there was injured and suffered a leg.
While Corey Roan proved to be too strong for authorities, what happens when a defendant is too fast to catch? Like in the case of Cody Kuhn.
Taser.
On his way to the county jail complex in Boulder, Colorado. The 30-year-old had several active warrants against his name for charges including resisting arrest, second-degree assault on a peace officer, and retaliation against a witness.
Taser.
Unaware of the warrants, Kuhn showed up in court to resolve the cases against him.
Okay, so this is not a case of somebody in custody. This is a case of somebody coming in and they find out that they have warrants and now needs to take them into custody.
At first, Kuhn cooperated with the officers.
Just take a seat, man.
But suddenly, he smelled danger.
Yeah, that just goes to show, and this isn't a failure criticism by any means. This is just something to be mindful of. If you quietly call for backup and 6 people walk, I know this wasn't 6 people, I know it was 2 people, but 6 people walk through that door, people are like, oh, I don't want the smoke. I'm going to bounce now. Yeah, it happens all the time when somebody is like, oh, you called for backup? Or there are more people here? I didn't plan on that. I'm bouncing now. Taser. Taser. Taser.
Realizing he was about to be arrested, Kuhn fled.
Big Sarge.
Officers chased after him.
There goes Big Sarge. Oh man,
The fleet-footed defendant
he's
escaped through
fast.
the parking lot and disappeared into the woods.
Cordon it
A
off.
manhunt was launched to catch the fugitive. A month later, Kuhn was arrested from Weld County. He faced no additional charges for the escape. Kuhn eventually pleaded guilty to
part of the
attempted
deal.
criminal exploitation of an at-risk person, criminal mischief, and harassment. Ultimately, Cody Kuhn was sentenced to 4 years probation and 18 months of work release.
Okay, guys, so this has been a long video, about an hour and 20 minutes. Let me know what you guys think.
It's called a home equity agreement, and
I am so far enjoying doing these videos, and I want to continue doing it. Let me know what you guys think. This is just commentary from my experience. I'm not trying to criticize every officer that wears a badge. That's not the purpose of me making this video. The purpose of me making this video is to help people understand what happens in corrections, in courthouses, and in a law enforcement setting, because it's easy to armchair quarterback things and say, oh, well, they didn't do a good job. But they say that. They say, he didn't do a good job. He didn't control that person. She didn't take the person down. But they don't provide any sort of alternative. What I want to do with this channel is when I see an officer do something wrong, I want to be able to explain it and give them options for doing it better the next time. Because you wear this badge, you wear this weight on your shoulders for 20, 25 years, you work in this career field, you're going to make mistakes. And I'm not saying all of them are as big as somebody escaping from custody, but it could be that, or it could be as minor as missing a pill in a pocket when you search somebody. I just want to, from my experience, teach people how mistakes happen, what measures could be addressed to handle a situation better in the future. I'm not trying to say anybody is doing their job wrong, because there is an explanation for everything that goes wrong. But you have to dig for it, and sometimes you need somebody with experience to explain those things to you. So I kind of want to explain that to the public, and also for those of us who work in this career field, give you options of things in your what if brain, of your heart of hearts, your mind, that are always running in the background, so you stay safe, and so that you go home every night. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. If you like the long form, if you want to see individual, 5-minute, 10-minute breakdowns, if you like the long videos that you can just let play out. But this has been a fun video. Again, that was Courtroom. What was it? Courtroom Consequences. Big channel, 1.4 million subscribers. Give them a follow. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.